Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. Welcome to my pantry. I'm really happy to have you here with me today. So what we're going to do today is do a tour of the pantry. This is a pre-pantry challenge tour. Starting tomorrow all the way in through until the beginning of March, we are not going to the grocery store. So this, as you can see it here, is the grocery store for us for the next couple of months, along with our freezers. And I shared a tour and a reorganization of our freezers in a previous video, and I'll link that for you up here. The whole idea behind us participating in this challenge, and one thing I do want to mention about this challenge is it's put on by Three Rivers Homestead from my friend Jessica, and she makes it very clear in the challenge that you can just adapt it to your personal circumstances. So the reason that we're doing it is because we want to see realistically how much food we would need to store in order to last us for a couple of months if we had no access to going to the grocery store. We are at December 31st right now, so tomorrow is the beginning of our 2-month challenge where we're not going to the grocery store. And both Dan and I are actually excited about it. So what we're going to do to track the amount of food that we're consuming is we're going to do it visually through doing this tour, and then we're going to do another one at the end of the 2 months and just see how much it's visually depleted. But we're also going to keep a record every day of the food that we are taking out of our pantry and our freezers and that we're consuming. So we're just going to keep a clipboard and write it down every single day, and then we'll calculate it at the end and see how many pounds of rice we used, how many pounds of flour we used, etc. So let's just start here so you can get kind of a visual. If you were here for our pantry tour that we did at the end of October or the beginning of November, you'll be able to see that there are some gaps starting to form in here. The peaches, this is a favorite. So we have a bit of a gap in the peaches. We're starting to get some gaps in our tomato products. One of the things that already has actually surprised me a little bit this year is I canned a lot of meat this year, more meat than I've ever canned before. And we already have some big dents in the meat. The ground meat, a lot of the chicken broth we have already consumed, some of just the canned whole meat over here, or whole chicken. And thankfully, like I said, I canned a lot, so there's tons down here still. So we still have lots down here, thank goodness, and lots over here. We have used way more canned meat than we have meat out of our freezers this year, which I think is really interesting. It's just so convenient, my friends. I love that I can make a soup so quickly, just opening up a couple of jars and dumping things into a pot. I can make pulled pork because I canned all of this pulled pork just with some onions and a little bit of seasoning, and I can just make a quick barbecue sauce. It's fantastic. Convenience foods, home-cooked convenience foods are the absolute bomb. I am going to do more and more. Not so much meals. I do have a few canned meals, but kind of ready-made ingredients to throw into other recipes. Love it so much. So we haven't chewed through too many of the potatoes, although I do need to stock these up. But we're looking pretty good as far as tomato products. I canned a ton of tomatoes and tomato sauce this year, so I don't think we're gonna run out of those at all. I have quite a few squash left down here to use, but I have noticed that my curry squashes are starting to rot. So I haven't done a check through my squash in the last couple of weeks, and there's some rot on this one. And then I also noticed a little bit of rot happening on this one as well. So these are two that I'm going to bring upstairs with me and deal with those, but everything else is looking pretty good as far as the squash goes. The biggest things that I want to be consuming in our pantry are over here. The light in here is awful, so I apologize for that. It looks okay in real life, but on the camera it doesn't look very good. But the foods that I really want to be focusing on over the next couple of months are the beans and rice. I have a ton of beans stored that I have going on their second year in the pantry, along with rice. So I actually want to turn all those over and consume as many of those as we can over the next couple of months. So I'm going to be getting really creative with nice frugal meals using beans and rice. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section below, because I'm probably going to need them. Like I said, we have a lot of rice. These are 50-pound, 20-kilogram bags of flour, and I have already used 4 of them since October, which kind of blows me away a little bit. We've been doing a lot of baking, and we're going to be doing even more baking over the next couple of months, because while I do a lot of baking, generally speaking, we do buy bread at the grocery store still, especially things like French bread, which I still have not perfected a recipe on yet, and hamburger buns and hot dog buns and things like that. And we're going, or tortillas as well. And we are going to be making pretty much all of those from scratch. So I suspect we're going to go through a lot of flour. So that'll be interesting to see. Is there anything you're worried about us? Oh, you're obviously worried about us running out of Zavia. This is Dan's Zavia collection. We're gonna call it. Yes, he really likes his Zavia. And one thing I'm curious about is because we call fizzy drinks like this pop in Canada, and I'm curious to know what you call it in your country, because whenever I say the word pop, I get some giggles in the comment section of people just thinking that that's really funny. So I'd be curious to know what you call it. But anyways, yes, Dan really likes his pop, and he didn't want to run out. We were talking this morning about buying a soda stream so that he can make his own fizzy drinks. I don't know why we haven't ever done that. We've been talking about it for years. We probably should if you run out of your Zavia.
Those, they don't have sugar in them.
Yeah, they don't have.
It's just stevia.
Yeah, they don't have sugar.
Have dye in them.
Yeah, without the sugar and everything in them. So anyways, he's hoping that he bought enough of these. He drinks like 2 or 3 of them a day to last us for the next 2 months. So we shall see. What else? Is there any other things that you're outside of the Zavia that you're worried about us actually running out of? Oh yeah, any of the junk foody kind of stuff. So any of this kind of stuff, we'll run out of these within probably the first month, along with the junk food chips that we have up here, like the ketchup chips. Ketchup chips is a Canadian thing apparently, but my kids love ketchup chips. So those kinds of things, you're right. We'll run out of those pretty much right away, just because they...
What else is serious convenience here?
Convenience stuff? Not really. I mean, we're not really huge convenience
Pretty
food
much just the chips and
eaters.
pop.
Yeah, I
got
think...
the pop covered, so...
You're probably covered, hopefully. Yeah, I don't think that there's anything else here that I'm really concerned that we're going to run
dish soap.
out of.
We have to run and get dish soap because we do have some
dish soap.
there. But
That's not gonna.
2 months worth.
No, that's
sure.
definitely not gonna last us. So yeah, dish soap is something. It's the 31st today, so we have. I'm glad we're doing this little tour actually. So we have today to really analyze. I think you're right though. I think dish soap is probably the only thing. We have lots of laundry soap and shampoo and all that. That we're probably going to run out of. But if we do, we're going to have to get creative because we're very committed to not going to the grocery store. The whole idea is to kind of test our mettle when it comes to our pantry. So we'll see. What do you guys think? Or do you think there's anything in here that we're going to run out of? We have a pretty good ketchup stash. We are big ketchup eaters. I don't think we're going to run out of that. Definitely not mayo. You guys have pretty much convinced me that I need to start making my own homemade mayonnaise, but we do have 4 good sized tubs. One of the things I always get asked when I show these larger bulk containers is how we actually use them once we open them up. We have those squeezable, do I have one in here? I don't think I do. Just squeezable, like restaurant style squeeze bottles. So one of these takes about 4 of those squeeze bottles. So we fill those up and they go in the fridge, and usually we consume one of them in about 4 weeks or so, like 1 squeeze bottle a week. So it works out pretty well for us. Anything else in here? I think that is probably it as far as stuff we have. So I think oatmeal is the only thing, the only other sort of bulk item that we might run low on, because we only have these 2 big bags here. But other than that, I feel like we're pretty good. Oh, I wanted to show you the apples back here. These were the apples that we bought at Costco. So what I'm actually going to do, because they don't store for a long time, I don't find in these plastic bags. They do in the refrigerator, but not in just a cold room like this. It doesn't get super cold in here. So I'm actually gonna open up all of these bags and lay the apples out in cardboard containers with newspaper in between them. And then they will last for a good long while. You can individually wrap each apple in newspaper, and that will help it to last for even longer. But I I don't need these to last for longer than, you know what, I'm kind of thinking actually now that I'm looking at this that we should buy a case of apples too, because it's one of those things our
I
kids...
thought you were going to freeze dry a bunch.
No, not these ones. I do have a lot of freeze-dried apples. I'll show you our freeze-dried stuff in a second. But I wanted to have some fresh apples because our kids love apples so much. So maybe we'll grab another case of apples. But let me show you the freeze-dryer room. All right, so this is where we store our freeze-dried stuff. And this is one of those squeeze containers that I was talking about for the ketchup and the mayonnaise. So I have lots of freeze-dried food, and there are some things that we're kind of hoping to just keep for longer term storage, like the Nutri-Store canned stuff, which is really good. It's delicious stuff. But there are some things that I want to consume over this winter, like the celery, the green onions, broccoli, and cauliflower. We have a whole bunch of freeze-dried berries that we're going to use in parfaits and on oatmeal and cereal. Actually, I guess not cereal. We didn't buy any cereal. We don't actually use a lot of store-bought cereal. It's kind of a treat. And we didn't buy any, so I guess we're going to be making our own. But that's the blueberries and the raspberries will be for that. What was something else I really wanted to use up? This kale. So in the freezer tour, you saw that I bought a whole bunch of frozen fruit, and that is for smoothies over the next couple of months. And I can add a nice big scoop of this freeze-dried kale to those smoothies for some extra greens. The other thing that we're going to do for greens is a whole bunch of, what's the word I'm looking for? Microgreens. So that is over in our grow room. I'll take you in there and we'll plant a bunch of those together in a couple of minutes, but you need to go do something else probably. So maybe yes. You're going out to do the cabin?
Yeah, I'm going to go work on the skirt of the cabin.
Okay, yeah, Dan got the metal skirting for the cabin. So he's going to go out and do that. So I will bring you into the grow room with me and we'll go plant a whole bunch of microgreens. But that's kind of our plan as far as the fruits and the vegetables and the greens go, is lots of smoothies. We'll be doing the microgreens to add for wraps and sandwiches and things like that, and salads even, if we can grow enough of them. I'll also do sprouts as well. I think we'll start some jars of sprouts upstairs as well, and then all of this freeze-dried stuff and the stuff that's in the freezer. So I think we're good as far as those nutrients go. I already have 5 trays all set up with soil that I put in them yesterday and got them all watered, so they are ready to seed. I have a whole bunch of these Mum's sprouting seeds that are starting to get old, so I want to get these used up. I think that this company is fantastic, by the way. They're really, really good. Another great company for sprouting seeds is West Coast Seeds, and these ones are new ones, so I'm actually going to hold those off and get these ones all used up here. What I should have done is started some trays about a week ago in anticipation of the challenge starting on January 1st, but I didn't. So we're going to start right now. The nice thing is that starting some sprouts up in the kitchen, they only take 4 or 5 days to get to the point of actually eating them. So we're going to do broccoli. 1 tray of, okay, let's get us a little bit more light here. So I'm going to do broccoli in this tray. We're going to be pretty liberal with these seeds. Because, like I said, they're starting to get old and germination has not been fantastic with them the last couple of trays that I've done. So we'll be very, very liberal in them. Actually, we'll just use the whole rest of the bag. I lied. I am going to do a little bit of the alfalfa because I remembered I have a huge bag of alfalfa, bulk alfalfa seeds in my freezer. I don't know if I showed you that when we did our freezer tour or not, but I do. So I don't have to worry about running out of these. And one of my favorite seeds are alfalfa. as far as microgreens go. So we're gonna get nice and liberal with these seeds as well. We'll do, what's this one? Broccoli brassica blend. Actually, we're gonna save that one because it's not open yet. We'll do the sandwich booster one. So technically these ones are meant, these mum seeds are meant for sprouting. Not technically for microgreens, but they work for that. So I have talked before about seed starting mix, and my preference is to use SunGrow potting soil for all seed starting. I just prefer it. I have the best success with using it over any other type of soil. I don't like using sterile pot or seed starting soil because I just find it just doesn't have any nutrients in it. Okay, so that's 2 bags down. That's good. Let's do red clover. I like clover too. Let's do some mung beans in this one. Okay, I'm just gonna pat these down a little bit. When it comes to doing sprouts like this, especially when you're doing them under, or when you're doing microgreens like this and you're doing them under grow lights like this, is that the grow lights are very warm and they do tend to dry out the surface of the soil. So I have not been somebody who's used plastic domes ever for seed starting at all. I got this from a microgreen starting kit from West Coast Seeds, and I tried it out, and when it comes to actually starting microgreens, because the soil is, or the seeds are just sitting on the top of the soil, is it works really well for allowing the soil to not dry out. However, highly recommend removing it as soon as you start getting good germination on your seeds, because that high humidity level underneath that dome, at least in my experience, can cause mold growth. So I am just going to leave this on here. I need to get some more for my other trays, but I'm going to leave that on there just until germination. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep them well watered. And my preferred method of watering seedlings and microgreens is one of these sprayers. I got this one from Princess Auto, and it is awesome because it just pumps up under air pressure. And it has this nozzle, which has a fine mist sprayer on it. And I use this nozzle for microgreens and also for when I am starting my seedlings and my seeds are really tiny and the seedlings are tiny. And then I take this sprayer end off when I need a little bit more water flow and the plants get a little bit bigger. So I'm actually going to go fill this up. We have a sink downstairs now, which is fantastic. And fill it up and get these some fresh water on them. So now we just let these babies sit. We're actually going to turn all of our lights out because we don't need light until they actually start germinating. So now we're going to bring some of these upstairs and go start some sprouts in jars. Let's do some sprouts. So I have a couple of different kinds of lids. These ones you can get from pretty much any health food store. And these ones I got from West Coast Seeds. I can also recommend using just a Ziploc bag or some really heavy duty saran wrap. And I'll show you how to do that in a sec. So we're going to do 3 quart jars and we're going to put a couple tablespoons of sprouts. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons of seeds in the bottom of that. So we'll try a couple of different ones. I'm not a big fan of radish ones myself, but do you want radish sprouts?
I think they're good.
You liked them?
They had a little bit of spice, didn't they?
Okay, yeah, like a little bit of pepperiness. Okay, we're going to do some lentils. So these are obviously a bigger sprout. And I'll take you along the journey of these as they develop, but we're going to soak them until tomorrow morning. Right now, spicy lentil crunch. Actually, we've already got some lentils there, so let's do crunchy bean mix. Actually, I feel like that one could probably use a bit more. So now all we're going to do is put some water in the bottom of this, just some cool water. And this is just going to get our seeds rehydrated again. And usually 8 hours is sufficient for rehydration. So we're just going to put our lids on. And because we're not starting to sprout them yet, I'll just use a canning lid for the one that I'm going to do with the saran wrap. So we're just going to sit these on the counter over here overnight. And like I said, I'll show you what those look like in a couple of days. I'm going to take you along each step of this challenge. So we'll be talking about the struggles that we're having with it, the successes we're having with it, and of course taking you along with all of the recipes we'll be cooking over the month. I am going to be sharing over on Instagram every day all the food we're making. There might be a little bit of repetition because of course I'm not going to be doing 60 unique dinners for the entire time, but I will share every day so that you can see what kind of foods we're preparing here. I hope that you enjoyed this video, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.